The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. November entertainment includes Sebastian Bach on November 7th and Steve-O on November 8th. Plus, don't forget to purchase your tickets to that Arena Rock Show's New Year's Eve party. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Mickey Dolenz, the last surviving member of the Monkees, performs live at Rams Head in Annapolis, Maryland on November 4th, followed by the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on November 6th. He called in to discuss forming the group first as a fictional band on the hit TV show, then becoming a smash band on actual radio with beloved hits like I'm a Believer and Daydream Believer. Hey, Mickey Dolenz, hey, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Well, thank you, Jason. Thanks very much for having me.
We are talking to the last surviving, original member of the Monkees, because you are going to be performing at the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on November 6th. This is a real treat. You're an absolute legend. So, it's an honor to talk with you. Seriously.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, and you're calling this show, this tour, it's called Songs and Stories. So I assuming that's what it'll be. Are you going to sing a classic tune, share a little story in between, maybe like the making of it, and then back to another tune? Is that about right?
Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, actually, I've always been telling little stories, but they tend to be maybe little brief one-liner things in between some songs. But first of all, I want to make it clear, I always do all the hits. All the big Monkee hits in their entirety, top to bottom, and I always do that. And then I discovered over the years, Jason, that once the audience knows, and my audiences now, they do know. They know they're going to get those big hits like I'm a Believer, Last Train to Clarksville, Daydream Believer, Pleasant Valley Sunday. They know they're going to get those. So I learned over the years that, I can fill in the rest of the show, sometimes with deep cuts, sometimes with unusual stuff, and sometimes over the years I discovered I can even do other people's material, cover other people's songs, but I discovered it needs to have a reason. It needs to have a story. And like, for instance, I'll give you an example, and I do this in my show. I say to the audience, before the Monkees, I had a band, Mickey and the One-Nighters. It was a cover band, and we covered a lot of tunes. I'm going to do one of those songs for you now, a Chuck Berry tune. And then I say, you may be wondering why I'm doing a Chuck Berry tune. Then again, you may not care. And then I say, but I'll tell you why I'm doing it. This was my audition piece for the Monkees. This is the song that got me the gig. And then I do the song, but if you want to know which one it is, you got to come to the show.
You got to come to the show. And you know what? You at the end of it, after you're done rocking out to it, you might even pull a Marty McFly and say, well, maybe you're not ready for that, but your kids are going to love it. Oh, I love it.
That's the kind of thing. And so I tell stories about Chuck Berry, Jimi Hendrix, who, as you may know, was our first opening act. There's a really interesting story behind that. And a story about Stephen Stills and Elton John and the Beatles. Tell a couple of stories about meeting the Beatles and going to some recording sessions in London back in the day. And so I tell the stories, but they always have a punchline, as it were, which is the song that's relevant to the story.
I love it. So we hear some classic tunes, and we also get some story time with some punchlines. It's going to be great. You know who's really good at that is James Taylor. We saw him at Wolf Trap last year, my wife and I, and he just cracks everyone up in between the songs, and then he dives into another instant classic tune. It's. I'm sure yours is going to be just as amazing. Hey, so I want to do some, deep dive and remind some of the folks, the making of some of those songs that you mentioned that they're going to hear. But before that, I would love to paint a little bit more chronologically of your backstory. I know you were born in LA in 45, and you actually literally grew up in Hollywood. Like, your parents were both actors. And in fact, I believe the year you were born, your mom was in the Selznick picture Since You Went Away with like Claudette Colbert and Shirley Temple, Joseph Kyle. So you grew up in the thick of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in showbiz. I followed in my parents' footsteps, literally. I thought everybody's father was an actor. And when I was growing up, yeah, I was. But we didn't live in the typical kind of cliched Beverly Hills, Hollywood showbiz lifestyle. My parents weren't like that. My father was off the boat from Italy, and my mom was from Texas, and so we lived a very down-home kind of old-fashioned life, old-school life, out in the valley on a little ranch with the horses and chickens and nice. So it wasn't that kind of Hollywood. What do you call it, those schools, like, stage schools or anything like that. And my parents were never the kind of, eyes and teeth, honey, eyes and teeth, show everybody the new dance step, that kind of thing. Nothing like that at all. Right. And so I don't know, maybe it helped a little bit later in life to kind of adjust, because show business is pretty crazy business.
It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, you got it honestly from your folks, and you got into acting around age 10, the child star of NBC's Circus Boy show. You were also in a few episodes of Peyton Place. But that brings us up to the part you were talking about, auditioning for the Monkees. And, for all you younger viewers who might only know the songs, it was originally formed as a fictional band for the NBC musical sitcom The Monkees, aired, 66 to 68, something like that. Uh-huh. You said you auditioned with Chuck Berry, but how about the other guys? Wasn't Davy Jones? He had just come off of Artful Dodger and Broadway's Oliver. Yeah. How about the other guys?
Yeah. Well, everybody that auditioned had to be able to act, obviously, had to be able to sing, and had to be able to play an instrument. That was like page one. You had to be able to do all those things, even to get in the auditions. But as you say, the television show was, you say fictional. Yes, I say imaginary at the time. It was a show about this group who wanted to be the Beatles, who wanted to be the Stones, who wanted to be famous. And that was what the show was about, that struggle for success. And on the show, if you watched it or if you remember, the Monkees on that TV show never made it. We were always struggling for the success, getting close, but never quite getting there. And we lived in this Malibu beach house, and every day we'd rehearse and we'd practice and try to get a record deal, try to get a gig, try to do this, and something would get in the way and mess it up. But we never got any work, which does beg the question of how we could afford a Malibu beach house. But that's showbiz for you,
Well, yeah, like the people and friends, how do they afford those Manhattan apartments? And yeah,
right.
Same deal.
So that is, years later there was a show called Glee. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Of course.
So that was a show about a fictional Glee club in a fictional school. And so the Monkees was a similar thing, but very, very early on, much before Glee. And it's the first time anything like that had been attempted. But like I say, we had to be able to sing and play, and that was the auditions, and act and improvise, heavily on the improvisation. And then eventually, and of course, then we were practicing all the time to go on tour. They clearly must have had that in mind from the get-go, that if the show was successful, that we would eventually go on tour, which we did. And when we did, Mike Nesmith made the acute observation that when we first appeared on stage live, playing, just the four of us, it was like Pinocchio becoming a real little boy.
I'm a real boy, Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, a real boy. And that's an interesting story, I think, about the Monkees, is because that I kind of call that Monkees point two, version two. So, like I say, there was the Monkees on the TV show, who never got any work, and then of course the Monkees on tour, which was and recording, which was enormously successful.
Absolutely. We were talking, who was it? It was a Birchmere show. It's called the Happy Together Tour, and Ron Dante is fronting the Turtles now. But he was talking a similar concept when he was recording, with the Archies. It started as an animated TV show, and then it became a pop hit. But you guys, similar, were a TV show that spawned a successful band. Well, I want to save as you say, the Monkees version 2 for in a little bit, because that'll wrap us back around to the Birchmere show, the music. But let's stay on Monkees version 1 for 1 second. So it's you, Davy Jones, Michael Nesmith, and Peter Tork, I think recommended for the band by Stephen Stills, actually. But the TV show itself, I want to give you guys credit. Like, it had like a groundbreaking visual style. I guess it comes out the same year as, I'm an old movie buff, but like Antonione's Blow Up, I think, was 66 as well. Younger listeners maybe think like Austin Powers, like that new wavy graphics.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to remind folks, it won the Emmy for Best TV Comedy in 67. I think you ended Dick Van Dyke Show's like 4-year stranglehold on that category. But yeah, it was a great show as a show, right? Not just the music's money. It was a great show.
Well, it was also, and there's a reason for that. It was written by great writers, produced by great producers. Remember, there's all those people that are involved. The directors, the director, it was Jim Frawley, who went on to win an Emmy for the pilot of Ally McBeal years later. So we were surrounded by very, very talented people. It was a Screen Gems television show. It had on NBC. There was a lot of pedigree behind. The creator producer was Bob Rafelson, who became the massive motion picture director, directing a lot of Jack Nicholson movies.
A lot of people will remember Jack Nicholson ordering the toast in 5 easy pieces in 1970.
Oh, yeah.
But you were working with Bob Rafelson and with Jack Nicholson before that in the Monkees movie, a psychedelic musical comedy called Head in the late 60s.
Well, yeah, Jack penned it. Jack wrote the screenplay, but based on hours of talks and conversations with all of us on tape. We had them on tape. About what we wanted to do for a movie. When the idea came up, Bob said, I want you to meet this guy. He's a B-movie actor, and he wants to get into writing and stuff. His name is Jack Nicholson. Yep. And we just all fell in love with him because he's such a charismatic, funny, bright, intelligent guy.
And this is right before he does Easy Rider. Like, this is before he was famous.
Yeah, the producers used the money that they made off the Monkees to make Easy Rider. It was the same people.
A lot of people probably don't know that. So we wouldn't get that movie with Fonda and Hopper and Nicholson, not to mention the soundtrack with, Steppenwolf and the Byrds and all those those bands would exist. But the movie phenomenon, the 60s time capsule of Easy Rider wouldn't exist without you guys. That's a good factoid, my friend. Thanks.
Yeah, that was, he introduced us to Jack, and this was a while before Easy Rider. Yeah. And we sat around, and he came over to my house and chatted, and we hung out and partied, and he went away and took all those thoughts. Because when they originally came to us, they said, we want to make a movie, right? And we were all, yeah, cool. But we agreed, or rather, I remember agreeing. I can't put my words in other people's mouths. But I remember agreeing that we did not want to make a 90-minute version of one of the TV shows.
Right.
We'd kind of been there, done that. And we wanted to, stretch out a bit. And on film, on a movie, we could do that. And we could do things and say things and have scenes and stuff and content that you couldn't do on TV for lots of reasons. But that wasn't what the Monkees was about on television. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Head, but It's pretty weird. And
it's a head trip.
yes, yeah. And so, but quite interesting. But Jack absolutely, and Bob directed, but Jack, wrote the screenplay along with Bob. But we absolutely did contribute.
That's fantastic. Well, that's some really good factoids that our listeners maybe didn't even know about both the TV show at Visual Style and Head and the Monkees movie. So all right, well I think that's some pretty good trivia there on Monkees version 1, as you put it. Let's pivot real quick to Monkees version 2 and the amazing music that it spawned that you're going to be playing at the Birchmere. So obviously the first studio album called The Monkees comes out in '66. I think it goes like 5 times platinum, and it has Last Train to Clarksville, of course. That becomes the number 1 hit. But I want to ask you about the theme from The Monkees. Hey, we're the Monkees. People say we monkey around. Share any insights you can about putting that theme together, because you're trying to record an iconic TV theme song to, for sitcom viewers at home, but then you also need it to work as a kickoff track for an album and a tour. So what considerations do you make trying to walk the line of both of those?
Well, we were working very hard. Like you said, we were filming the television show 12 hours a day and then going in the studio recording. But like the show and all those people involved, the music also had amazing people involved, specifically the writers. And I talk about this in my show, my live show. The songs you mentioned were written by Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. Clarksville and the theme. Carole King and Jerry Goffin wrote one of the biggest hits, Pleasant Valley Sunday, and other hits for the Monkees. Yeah. Harry Nilsson, Paul Williams, Neil Sedaka wrote huge hits. Neil Diamond wrote the biggest one, I'm a Believer, and another couple of songs for the Monkees. So again, we were surrounded by incredible talent. And that's one of the reasons I think that I'm blessed. And that people still come to the show to hear those songs, because those writers didn't write many Duff tunes,
Yeah, exactly. And again, folks, everyone knows Neil Diamond. They might forget that he wrote I'm a Believer for the Monkees. And by the way, that might be my personal favorite of yours. Well, I guess younger viewers, I can play it for my college students. They probably know it from Shrek with Smash Mouth.
Yeah, I just bumped into those guys in the airport. And I told them, I said, you guys did a great cover of that.
Yeah, it's a killer cover, but yours is the definitive version in my book. And it's so happy the way it kicks in at the, is it an organ at the as a Hammond?
I don't remember what organ it was, frankly.
But it is organ.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. But you will be playing that at the Birchmere for sure. You got to play that.
Oh yeah.
Well, we may be only time for one more, and that's sad for me because you guys had so many. But the other one you mentioned, it also has Believer in the title. Not I'm a Believer, but from the 5th album, Daydream Believer. I love that song. Who penned that one? Is that also one of your favorites?
John Stewart, one of the original Kingston Trio.
Oh, wow. Not the Daily Show John Stewart. Other John Stewart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was great writer.
And I assume that one is a must-have in the set. You can't do a show without that one, right?
Oh, of course I do. Like I said before, originally, I always do all the big hits. All of them.
All of them with songs and stories in between. Well, I literally could talk to you all day about this. I'm actually really sad we have to run, but I appreciate all the time you gave us. And I guess before we go, I should say Davy Jones, passed in 2012. Peter Tork sadly died in, I think, 2019, and Michael Nesmith died in recently, 2021. So you are the last surviving member of those original Monkees. So, but keep the legacy going. It's up to you, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Awesome. Again, Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees at the Birchmere in Alexandria, Virginia on November 6th. Get your tickets now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.